I don't know if you people have been realizing, but Colombian players are moving like crazy in the transfer window. Are they having the best transfer window of any national team? Bear in mind, there is a massive tournament coming up next summer. Oh, yeah, the World Cup. So, in today's video, we're going to talk about the Colombian players that have made moves in the transfer window so far. How will this impact the national team? Why are they making these moves? And I'm going to give you my best starting 11 for the Colombian national team at the end of the video. This could be a historical window for Colombia because, yes, they've had some wonderful players in the past. Obviously, James Rodriguez, 2014 summer window, Carlos Sanchez moving then, Ospina moving then after the wonderful World Cup that Colombia had. But this transfer window, it could exceed over 200 million euros spent on Colombian players. So let's get to the confirmed transfers so far. Luis Diaz, of course, going to Bayern Munich for 75 million euros. I did an individual video on that. Go check it out on the channel. I think it's a great move. He's going to play top tier football around Europe, playing in the Champions League and playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. I think it's a good move for Lucho. Then you have Rios going to Benfica for 27 million euros. You're playing Champions League football, or hopefully Benfica will qualify to the Champions League. Rios will be starting every single week for Benfica in a tough league. One of the best leagues in Europe. Yes, you can clown it and say, oh, it's Portuguese league. At least Rios will be playing high-level football against Porto, Sporting, and the Champions League in preparation for the World Cup. So I think for Rios, it's a great move. Then there's three other players. Jhon Arias making the move from Fluminense to Wolves for 17 million euros. I've always loved this player. Obviously, when I was watching a lot of Fluminense when they won the Copa Libertadores, Jhon Arias was such a key player for them. And he's such a versatile player. Can play in the number 10, can play out wide on the left, can play out wide on the right. And I'm interested to see how he's going to be utilized at Wolves because Vitor Pereira likes to play a back five formation. So where does Jhon Arias really fit into it? And if Wolves are spending 17 million on Jhon Arias, you know he's going to start. So I'm intrigued to see how he gets on at the club. And I think he deservedly got to move to Europe. He's been a standout player for Fluminense. You could talk about his Colombian career going a little bit sour at the moment, but overall as a player, I love Jhon Arias. Then Luis Suarez. Now, I've never seen this guy play. He's had very minimal appearances with the Colombian national team, but Sporting paid 22 million to be the replacement for Victor Yerkeres. I checked his stats. He is a goal-scoring machine at Almeria. Now, granted, Almeria were playing in the second division of Spain. So can Luis Suarez translate that form from the second division to Sporting and be a massive replacement on Yerkes and all the goals he scored? It's a big move for Luis Suarez. Could this move benefit him with the Colombian national team? We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the last move I want to talk about is Jhon Duran, making the loan move from Al Nassr to Fenerbahce. Jhon Duran has had one of the craziest careers so far. Chicago Fire, Aston Villa, Al Nassr, Fenerbahce, all before he turns the age of 25. Jhon Duran is having one of those football manager career modes at the moment, and his move to Al Nassr, very big money, it flopped. As of right now, it has flopped because there's just been so much rumors about Jhon Duran and his attitude and his commitment to football. And I think going to Fenerbahce and going under a manager like Jose Mourinho, where Jose Mourinho, strict. You better be on time. You better act like a professional. And I think it's a good move for Jhon Duran in his career where you're going to be a season under Jose Mourinho. Act like a professional. We know Jhon Duran has talent, but his overall attitude recently hasn't warranted him getting play minutes with Colombia or even maybe starting for Al Nassr. So going to Jose Mourinho, who will get his act straight, I think it's a good move for Jhon Duran, and it's only for a season on loan. It's great. Then there's other rumors of Colombian players. Obviously, Nelson Doosa, who was a standout player for Monterrey at the Club World Cup. I've never seen him play either. I only saw him play against Dortmund, and I thought he was the best midfielder in the world. He's been rumored to go to Real Betis in La Liga. Yon Lukumi, of course, a standout player at Bologna, the center back. He's been rumored to go to Sunderland or another club around Europe, so could be a good move for Jhon Lukumi. Take that next move in your career. Go to a top club. Let's see where Jhon Lukumi goes to. Then Jorge Carrascal going to Flamengo from Dinamo Moscow. Of course, we know Flamengo. We know the Brasileiro. One of the best leagues around the world. They showed it at the Club World Cup. And for Carrascal, I think it is a good move. So overall, with these moves, I think the Colombian national team right now are having the best window of any national team. Their players are playing at top level football at the moment. Luis Diaz will continue to play in the Champions League. So will Rios. So will Luis Suarez at Sporting. Maybe even Jhon Duran at Fenerbahce if Fenerbahce qualify to the Champions League. And Jhon Arias is going to the best league in the world, in the Premier League, where you're going up against top tier opponents every single week. So if you're the Colombian national team and if you're a Colombian fan, you're like, guys, we are back. We are back to what it was in 2014 when Ospina made the move to Arsenal, Carlos Sanchez making the move to Aston Villa, James Rodriguez making the move to Real Madrid. That was like the standout transfer window, I think, for Colombian players. Obviously, they had that wonderful World Cup in 2014, so it definitely helped with their notoriety and their publicity. But now, there is no publicity. Now it's about making smart moves, and the Colombian players are making smart moves. Maybe that's because of the agents. Maybe they're not really thinking about money. Now they're just thinking about, okay, I want to play against the best. So if you're thinking of a player like Luis Suarez, who was playing in the second division of Spain and going to Sporting, heck, if you're Luis Suarez, you're going to be the top guy at Sporting and playing in the Champions League. Fantastic. Colombian players are finally making some smart moves and moves that will highly benefit the Colombian national team. One, to get more Colombian players notoriety, because we know with the transfer window, especially for South American players, it's all about Argentina and Brazil. It's always been about them. You know why? Because you know when you invest into a player from Brazil or Argentina, most of the time it works out. Colombian players don't get that respect. Ecuadorian players are starting to get that respect a little bit more. Paraguayans don't get that respect. Chile got that respect in the early 2010s because of the golden generation. Now the Colombian players, after a couple of years, Jhon Cordoba with the moves to FC Köln, to Hertha Berlin, obviously James moving around Europe wherever he could get some game time. Then you had Luis Muriel, you had Dufan Zapata. I just love these moves because I know these players can ball out. I've seen it with the Colombian national team. We'll talk about the Colombian national team in a moment, but it hasn't been known to the worldwide public and maybe to worldwide scouts who are at these top clubs. But now these top clubs are like, oh no, let's take a chance. No teams want to take a chance on a Colombian player or Ecuadorian player or a Venezuelan player. They don't, because they're like, oh, maybe in the past it didn't work out, so we don't really want to take that chance. Whereas, oh, if it's a Brazilian, Argentinian, oh, sign him up. If his name ends with Inyo, oh, we'll sign him. But now the Colombian players are getting respect, and now they're going to play at a high level football that will only increase the level of the Colombian national team. Is this something that can continue, or is this just a one-off window for Colombian players? I think for right now, it is a one-off window for Colombian players, but maybe in 3 to 4 years, as maybe some youngsters from Colombia emerge, we could see more moves like this. And they're not that expensive. Brazilians, Argentinians, they cost a lot of money. Whereas only Luis Diaz is the only player where, oh, they spent a lot of money on him, but that's the pressure. The pressure needs to be on these players. When the pressure has been on these players in the World Cup qualifiers, Colombia have won 2 games since the Copa America. 2 games, people, in a year. For all of this quality, that's abysmal. But that's a story for another day. And if you guys like CONMEBOL videos, I highly recommend subscribing to the channel because I've been covering the entire CONMEBOL World Cup qualifiers. Now Néstor Lorenzo, with these players playing at a high level, there's going to be pressure. But that's what the Colombian fans want. That's what the Colombian media want. They want to give the pressure. Obviously not over the top and saying, oh, these guys are bums or something like that. No, there has to be pressure to perform. When you're playing for clubs like Benfica, Sporting, Bayern Munich, going to Fenerbahce, alone at the clubs are going to get pressure. But then the fans from Colombia are like, okay, we see you do it for the club teams. Why don't you do it for the national team? And especially heading into a World Cup year where, yes, still Colombia are not qualified to the World Cup. I mean, all they have to do is beat Bolivia at home. If you can't beat Bolivia at home, oh, you don't deserve to go to the World Cup. So I'm expecting them to qualify to the World Cup. So all of this preparation heading into the World Cup with these players playing at a high level, I look at Colombia and we know what they did at the Copa America, making it to the final. I expect them to make a deep run at the World Cup. With these players playing at a high level, they're all going to be physically prepared, mentally prepared for these tough situations. I think they should be having a deep run at that World Cup, and the depth now that this Colombian team has. You can have either Jhon Duran, Cucho Hernandez, or Luis Suarez starting in the striker role. A role that has been plaguing this national team, I think, for the last couple of years, which is not a clinical finisher. Don't give me Jhon Cordoba. That experiment, listo. It's done. I don't want to see it anymore. Then you look at the midfield depth. You got this guy like Nelson de Osa. I've never seen this guy play. If he gets moved to Real Betis, he could possibly get into the starting 11 for the Colombian national team. So that's the thing. All these players are playing at a top level, and there's going to be competition within the team, which is perfect. Because they know, if I'm not performing for my club team, I might lose my spot for the national team. This, for me, right now, is the best starting 11 for Colombia. You obviously have Kevin Mier in goal. Then you have Munoz at right back, Crystal Palace. Davison Sanchez, center back, Galatasaray will be playing Champions League. Yon Lukumi, we'll see where he ends up, currently at Bologna. I think Cabal at Juventus is an excellent left back. He hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities with the Colombian national team, but defensively, the guy is a rock, and that's what Colombia need. They need better defenders. Mojica, wonderful player going forward. Cabal needs to be the defender. Then obviously the two in the midfield. I'm going with Castaño and Richard Rios because Castaño for River Plate, I mean, this guy's a baller. Absolute baller. So I think he deserves some more minutes. Then you have Lucho, James, Jhon Arias, and I'm going to go for now, Jhon Duran. But you look at where these players are playing for top teams in Copa Libertadores. All of these players playing in the Champions League. Daniel Munoz going to play in Conference League and just won the FA Cup. This is what you dream of. The only position where you look at like, oh, it's a little bit weak, maybe is goalkeeper, but Mayer is a decent goalkeeper. And I didn't even go through the bench, people, of all of these players playing around the world and specifically in Europe. This is the dream for Colombia. But now there's going to be competition like I talked about earlier. Competition within the team, where if you're not performing, adios. We'll bring in the next guy. If Castaño is not performing, okay, we'll bring in Diosa. If maybe James Rodriguez is not performing, maybe Carrasquel from Flamengo, he could probably get into the team. If Jhon Duran is effing up again, all right, Luis Suarez or Cucho, you get your opportunity up front. It's going to be a headache for Néstor Lorenzo and his national team, but a headache that is perfectly suited ahead of the World Cup. They got a year to prepare. These players have a year now to perform at the highest level possible. So let's see which players will stand out. This is definitely a historical window for Colombia. I don't know if it's going to continue, but I'm loving it because these players deserve respect. And now the Colombian national team, they got some pressure heading into the World Cup next year. But what's your thoughts? Why do you think Colombian players are making all of these moves all of a sudden? Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and remember to follow me on all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, join the Discord, all those links, description down below. But have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world. Till next time, adios.